pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here. The middle of the pledge. Okay, we have the minutes of the June 21st meeting have been distributed. Are there any additions or corrections? We have a motion to approve. Malone?
Second.
And Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Treasurer's report, Bill Dwyer.
Okay, single page codes one. Front of the page is the balance sheet. There are no vouchers this month in codes, yet anyway. And on the other side, top is the checking account since the beginning of the year, and the bottom is the savings account. And the district report. We've got 36 vouchers. It's kind of a slow night for vouchers. 5 credit card, no overtime, 14 service award vouchers, and no code. Before I get into the report, I thought the service award payments to the participants went out last week. Lincoln Investment also sent us the $58,706.36 that made those payments. And the district has paid Lincoln Investments $43,200 for those participants that made their points last year, 2022.
Okay, so Bill, what's that total?
What's what?
What's the total for the participants that made their points?
$43,200. That's the ones that made the 2022. Those that chose to take their money was the $58,706. And then on the report, front page is the balance sheet at the top, liabilities at the bottom. Page 2 and 3 is the budget versus the actual. Page 4 is the previous year comparison, and it's still only printing out if there was something in both headings. Doesn't print the whole thing out. And on page 5, 6, 7, part of 8 is the bank account pages. On page 7 is the payroll account, and it goes over onto page 8. There's 2 entries at the top of page 8 for the payroll account. Also on page 8 is the service awards account, and we made $29,597 last month for a total of $904,110.27. Page 9 is the liabilities we owe. The next
Bill,
payment
is
is
that before the payments were made or after the payments?
no, that would be before. Yep, because the payment doesn't show on there. That's in July. Page 9 is the liability page. The next payment is in September. We owe principal and interest payment in September. Page 10 is the referendums. And I added the referendum 6, which is to to fund the purchase of the personal protective gear that we passed. That wasn't on there last month. What's that? It was in May.
It's a new one.
Your new one.
Yeah.
So that's number 6, I guess. And 11, 12, and 13 are tonight's vouchers. And that's all I have.
Do you have any questions for the treasurer?
No. Me.
I entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Charlie? Malone?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Need a motion to approve the vouchers as audited. Malone? Charlie? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mike Malone has the bank statements this month. I don't think we have any permissive referendums to close it. Correspondence.
The fire district affairs was received and distributed.
Chief's report, Chief Rube.
Nothing new on the vehicle chargers that haven't come in yet. Second chief's vehicle, still not arrived, and now expected in August. That's the newest date we were given. Pumpers and aerials are going to be going out this month still for their New York State inspections and PMs. Special events, there's a fire prevention detail, and that's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. at Radisson Summer Rec Program. We do have people for that. Thank you, Commissioner LaPrice. Stations, the new proposal with the fixed dollar amount was received from the architect, Station 2 Shower Edition. You have that now. Commissioners do. We're going to continue taking one duty night a week for the next 2 months, and then we'll evaluate it again sometime in September. Part-time firefighter EMTs began working the day shifts on Monday, June 26th. During staffed hours, the response times have improved by more than 5 minutes on an average. Several of the volunteer members have come in, been around for parts of the shifts, and worked with the paid staff, and the feedback has been positive. The daily drills will begin on next Monday at 10 a.m. for all active members. They're always going to be welcome to participate. First due services will begin the annual hose testing on July 29th. That's it.
I added here, Luke had sent an email about the undercoating
Yep.
on vehicles. That'll be on July 24th. That's an annual
Yep.
service. Any questions for the chief? Chief Corcoran, I don't see. Do you have a report? Yeah, chief speech. Building and facilities, long term. Who is that?
Right, Chairman.
Okay. My chair's not here. I don't have a report. New truck committee, he did tell me that rescue pumper is on the same schedule for build. The new chief's vehicle, Matt Speech is working on quotes for lights and sirens and also on,
Scotch light striping,
what?
the striping for at the end of the year.
And that's spot 2 also.
Yep.
License to public safety, as stated last month, there's no meetings in July and August. Townwide drill at Oswego Training Facility on September 30th. Budget and finance, the 2024 budget preparation is in process. IT committee.
I have nothing to report.
Personnel, Mike and I met with, they've started the annual reviews, they are in process. We'll have a report at the next meeting. Truck maintenance. Sure it's not. Any report from anybody else? Sure. Building maintenance.
I have quotes for sealing and striping from 4 different companies. And they go from a high of,
Speak up, Mike, so we
They
can
go
hear
from
you
a-
over the air conditioning.
they go from a high of 24,000 to a low of 13,000 for sealing and striping all 3 places. I don't know if one is any better than the other with the sealing components. I think all the sealing is the same composite. And being as though that it only lasts about 3 years at the most, maybe 2, I suggest that we probably go with the lowest bid for 13 so we get all 3 done at once rather than piecemealing it. At least we'll have all 3 covered and done, and striping. And the striping, we're actually going to have stripes along the grass at 1 so that people will be able to park better. So, and that'll probably be, extra money because I talked to all of them and they said if you need extra striping, that might be an extra charge, but I don't know how much per stripe. But
How does that work when you mow the lawn?
it's like painted on. It's the striping.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect
It
it.
shouldn't affect it. Shouldn't affect it. I think if we went with 13 and then gave a margin of an extra 2,000, we put in for 15,000 for a top, just to get all 3 stations sealed, striped, and that would take care of it, because they haven't been done in years. I don't know when the last time it was done. Mike, do you remember the last time these were sealed?
10 years ago, maybe,
Yeah. And
or more.
the first one that I had, this 24,000, they wanted to do a lot. The quote for Station 1 was like $12,000 just to do Station 1. And rather than trying to target the whole, I think we should just try to just see it, seal it, and stripe it, and see what we can get out of it.
Big price difference.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
everything, same warranty, same product.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, the Pinnacle did some extra things that, for extra patching and stuff like this, but, some of the stuff didn't really, I've got some big quotes in here. But I felt that if we went with the lowest one, we'd get the same amount of product put down for
Quality.
quality.
Okay.
So, and we'll see how it goes. So, I figured if we, put in for 15,000 for about a number, and then go with that. It's going to be hard, probably for Luke, because when they do the sealing and striping, I don't know how that works with getting the apparatus out. So that'll be up to you to spearhead that when they do that.
The time they did it before, they did one side, waited,
Yeah.
everything was on the other side. They were still in the building, and when they all take care, we moved them over the first time.
Okay,
And then they came.
so, because I know they like to allow a certain amount of time for it to dry before you roll over it, especially with the weight of our apparatus. So, and then I know the striping comes later.
Was that a motion?
So, do I get a motion?
Are you making a
I'd like to
motion?
make a motion to spend $15,000 to do sealing and striping for all 3 stations,
Facilities.
facilities, for Station 1, Station 2, and headquarters.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Charlie seconds. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And there's sufficient money in that line item.
Thank you.
Anything else under building maintenance?
The chief and I have recognized, and also one of the active members, that the Station 1 needs to be painted. Both interior and exterior needs a good coat, especially exterior, because a lot of the eastern wall is peeling and cracking off. So I think if we maybe got some members together and had a painting party, but we'd have to figure out what color paint we needed, and we could go from there. So rather than try to hire a professional painter,
You got Luke.
we have Luke.
Well, on that note, are you gonna have one person paint all this? Because it's gonna take more than one
We're
person.
taking more than one. I
Yeah,
said we can have a painting party.
because you painted it probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was painted outside. They did that, and it was the 2 caretakers you had at that time. But if you're only gonna have one person do it, you won't have it all done before winter.
I am not that smart.
I am saying you are overloaded with other work-related duties that you need to take care of.
I'll let them borrow my spray gun.
Is that something that takes?
I don't see any reason why not. I don't think there'd be any complaints about that. So. You can ask him, but, you know, if we have any type of painting party, I'm sure he'll have you jump in.
The only thing discussed is that, do we have a color that is Belgium specific? Do we have a color that's Belgium specific, Mike? You've been here the longest.
What I do
I
now?
can see what
Do you have any specific color?
Any color?
No.
Blue. You like blue?
Remember, Ken Cook was the big one.
Red, white.
Red and black on top. Let's make it pink. I can just do it on the weekend, have parties.
Okay, so we're working on that.
I think so. Why don't we have it on weekend and make it a party?
Just paint it the same.
Look how much faster we could do it.
Caitlin, you can come do it, okay?
I'll do this one exactly.
Disposal.
Roll it on fast.
Yes, sir.
Are we still on maintenance or building maintenance?
Yes.
Are you planning on redoing all of Station 2's roof or just the part that's leaking? It's been leaking off and on over the years. It's been fixed at the post tower. That's the only spot that's leaking.
Well, it's not leaking now. It's not leaking now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it is?
Last
now?
rain.
Oh, it's pouring in,
I
but
didn't
it's the
know that.
same spot they fixed before. The rest of the roof isn't leaking. I don't know why they can't just fix that.
Do you have a specific area that they constantly?
You gonna be around Thursday night?
Don't look at
Or do you
me.
want it down now? Here, hold it. If you go over where the rescue tool was, you'll see the stream of water, the rust, and the metal in the roof is all rotted out. And it's right by the hose tower. And that's where it leaked before.
So it's just a small area that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it's a small, I can't see why you would have to do the whole roof. Just trying to save some money.
Have they patched it before?
Yeah, it was patched, yeah. It's leaked there before.
You guarantee their work?
Whoever did it, I'd call them back and say, hey,
I think that, yeah, they probably give 6 months or a year.
I mean, I don't know how much of an issue, but the water is going into the outlet box.
Oh, damn.
Take a look.
Take a
evaluate.
picture of it and send them a picture. Tomorrow. I'll take you down later.
Okay.
Steering committee, no meetings in July and August, as was reported last month. Fire prevention.
As the chief alluded to, there is fire prevention going on tomorrow over Cary Hornaday Park, along with some spraying of the kids with the water. That's it for this time of the year.
You got handouts and like that?
No, we don't usually do handouts. so.
They're going through the water.
Yeah, they're getting wet.
Doesn't go well.
No helmets, nothing, just water.
Okay, old business, revision to SOGO 3017. I think the chief is still working on that with your assistance.
Yeah, we'll have it for next week.
The bylaws committee, maybe Mike Rasmus may be around this evening. Will
Mark take off or?
Yeah, 1 o'clock,
Take off. So he said he's got nothing at this time, so
so should we take that off of the agenda?
unless somebody from the board has something that they want to allude to?
Yeah, I don't, as far as I know, we haven't had a meeting recently to discuss anything. So I don't know if we can follow up with that for the next meeting.
It's been on there for 3 months, so this is the third month.
Yeah, I don't know. Again,
So this was just changes, officer qualification changes that they wanted to make to the, and they just wanted to bring it to the body here.
okay, I will follow up with that and get back to you on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Under old business, we did get the revised quote from PHZ Architect. I sent it out. I think that last month we kind of took care of it, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was on board with this. They did give us a set fee, $1,500, and there's a timeline. So are we okay to move forward with this?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I think we made the motion last month once we got the
Right.
right information. Okay, next thing, the time and attendance module from Paychecks. I sent the revised proposal and an explanation. And I know Charlie wanted to see the original, which I sent to him.
Right.
So where are we on that?
We're looking at something that's going to continue to go up as things change. The amount is just going to keep going up and up and up. So I guess we're going to go with it for now, unfortunately.
Are we happy with that? Someone make the motion? I'll make the motion.
All right, you make the motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Oh, there's no second.
One second.
Wow.
You are?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, Charlie seconds it. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Goes there. Now, Mike Chura's not here tonight. He had an emergency, and this information came in this afternoon about the retirement system. We already have the retirement system, or members of the retirement system for New York State retirement system. It's mandatory that we participate in the police and fire retirement system. And we just got the information on that and the resolutions to get us to be members of the police and fire retirement system. We put this in our budget last year. When we put the budget together, an estimate was included. With our present paid firefighter staff, the cost for a year would be $21,000 for all 10, 11. So we're only doing a half a year this year, but still we had, I think, there was enough for a full year in the budget. So we need to have a resolution to participate, and the resolution says, be it resolved that the Belgium Cold Springs Fire District does hereby elect to participate as an employer in the New York State and local police and fire retirement system, and approves inclusion of its officers and employees in such system. In accordance with any and all of the laws governing such participation as set forth in the Retirement and Social Security Law as presently or hereinafter amended, together with any administrative rule, regulation, or directive governing the same. So, I would make that resolution. Is there a second?
And you said this is mandatory?
Yes,
Why did we not do it in the past?
because we didn't have any paid firefighters.
Because we have paid firefighters, okay.
And it's mandatory even though they're part-time.
Yep,
That's written into the law and the document.
yep.
So for future, when these
I thought they were.
part-time retired, when they leave us, we're still gonna be continuing to pay into their retirement system.
I'll tell you, I don't know how it works.
And that's gonna be,
It could be.
and that just keeps driving our taxes up more and more every time you add more firemen to our payroll.
It's the cost of doing business.
Well, it is, I understand that, but your taxpayers have already taken one hit, and they're gonna be taking more and more hits every single year.
Without a plan, without a documented plan of any kind for how you're gonna spend the money.
Well, obviously there was a plan because we budgeted for it, we talked about it at the budget hearing.
And it wasn't really clear. Trust me.
What benefit do we get from this?
We get to abide by New York State law. The employees get the benefit of the retirement system. We get the benefit of getting good employees because we're part of the plan, but everybody who pays firefighters is part of the plan, so. I mean, but the bottom line is that it's mandatory. And,
And you said we budgeted for it last year?
yes, we did.
Can you show me, this is last year's budget.
No, it's on the other page.
Hold the line.
Retirement, that's service awards. No, this is service awards, this is what, at 55?
Retirement, yes.
Because we pay for Amy, or the secretary, we pay for the caretakers. Part of being a fire district, it's part of hiring paid firefighters, yes.
Is this something new?
No.
Then why weren't they Jerry Tanner and John?
They are.
It's a different retirement
They
system.
are. They're-
I'm in New York State retirement, but for them being firefighters, it's fire and police retirement. So it's a different system. But
How long
essentially,
ago-
it's all state of New York.
I was in the New York State retirement system when I was the secretary. We joined the New York State retirement system in, I think, 2000.
Well, this is what you're talking about now. How long ago, are you just finding this out, or did somebody just, has it been around for a
No,
long time?
Mike has been researching this for the past 6 months, 4 months,
And this
whatever.
needs to be approved tonight without everybody on the board reading the document fully?
Because we've got people on the payroll, the quicker we do it, the better. It doesn't matter, it's mandatory.
Yeah, but did you know it before we hired all these people?
It's in the budget, we knew.
I
Yes.
never heard of it.
I was at the budget hearing and didn't hear that. And
Well, I remember
the budget
seeing
hearing
it.
was more touting other things, it was never talking about that.
Now, we increased that line item by, like $30,000 because of the anticipated cost.
Well, I'm still gonna say, as long as I'm a taxpayer and I'm paying for these guys, I don't want them going out of the district. That's what they were hired for, to be here. Not going all over the county. You raise my taxes, I want them here.
Well, as I said last month, it costs money for the volunteers to go on mutual aid too. We just paid, how many, for service awards, we just paid $1,200 a year for each volunteer. So it costs some money to send
But
volunteers.
that's not what I'm saying. You, the commissioners, said we are not getting out on calls, which I don't buy it. We're going on calls that we don't even need to be on. And like I said last month, GBAC says, why are you here? We don't need you. Go home. So you're gonna keep raising our taxes. If you're gonna do that, they better stay in the district or I'm gonna file a lawsuit. And I will do it.
So, we're back to the New York State retirement. I made the motion, is there a second?
If it's mandatory, I guess we have to, if
You gotta do it if it's
it's
mandatory.
mandatory, I second it.
I made the motion, Mike Malone second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Can you have these documents sent to us so we can get our eyes on them as well?
Sure. Like I said, just got them.
Oh, I know, I mean, you just got them, but I mean, it would have been nice if we would have had a heads up and had something prior.
So, once we join, we have to specify the plan, and the plan, I'll send copies of this to everyone. estimated cost for the current employees, firefighters, is estimated at $21,830, and this is an affidavit that the chief financial officer needs to complete, so the employer would do this. So another resolution, be it resolved that the Belgium Cold Springs Fire District does hereby elect and provide the pension benefit in sections 375C, 375E, 375G, and 375I of the Retirement and Social Security Law for police officers and paid firefighters as presently hereinafter.
Is there a requirement for so many hours they have to work? Because there is for New York State retirement. They have to work so many hours in order to get that retirement.
We need to give them the option, the opportunity. New York State says we have to give them the opportunity to participate in these programs. If they don't make enough hours, I don't know.
So there isn't a number of hours they have to work in order to be able to be in the program, is what you're saying. And that's documented in that document that you have that hasn't been distributed to the board or the membership or the attendees here?
I can't speak to that because I'm not the one who did the research with New York State Retirement. Mike is, and
I think it's based on pay, isn't it?
what's that?
I thought it was based on pay, what they need,
Yeah.
but not.
And how much they need to
But I don't-
contribute is based on their tier, and it's pretty complex.
Does he have a summation of that document that since he researched it, you think he would have provided some kind of summation for us all or given us the document prior?
Right,
And then I'm wondering if there's any other soft costs going forward that we've missed and are going to come up in the future.
if we want to do something in addition to this plan that we're talking about, then we would have to revisit it, come back and amend it. Now, I know when we joined for our non-firefighter employees, we went back and amended it and added a rider so the sick days could be credited to your retirement, up to 6 months of sick days. That was something we added. We decided here, we added that rider. It costs a small amount of money every year, and we pay that additional every year. And that could happen, I suppose. It could happen that we want to, at some time in the future, change, and we would then look into it. And if we wanted to change, upgrade, whatever, we could do that.
Is there a plan? Is there an upgrade on this? Do we have that select? Is there another plan? Like, is there a different choice? I mean, what are we all approving today that's mandatory?
If they're enrolled
Is there
in
a
police
different
and fire.
level?
If they're enrolled in police and fire.
There's just one level. There's no,
It's police and fire.
Is there a minimum or a maximum amount of members for this?
I don't think
So
so.
it's just a membership, 21,000 a year.
so maybe we should have more information before we take a vote on this. I mean, there's so many questions. The only thing that I keep hearing is mandatory, but we don't know what it is.
If we have paid firefighters and we're mandated to join the New York State Fire and Police Pension Plan.
Maybe we can have copies and look at it and make a decision. Just to make sure we're enrolling in a program that truly is mandatory and we do meet the requirements.
I think
Since Mike's not here to explain it, and we've got a lot of questions on it, I agree with you. I think that it may be mandatory, yes, but we need more information on it. We've got no information other than it's mandatory and we have to do it, and it's going to cost $21,000 and it's going to go up. So we can hold off another month.
So if we've already done the resolution to join, you want to hold off on the resolution on which plan? What plan?
I think on the whole thing, I think we just need information to look at.
We track the whole thing, yeah.
Correct. At least I'm pulling my vote from a yay to a nay for now, until I have more information.
I agree the same. We need more information on it.
Okay, so what do you do in that case? I guess you make the motion to revoke the resolution?
I make the motion to revoke the resolution.
Okay.
We'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So we'll get Mike here to tell us more.
And give us, again, pass that out so that we all have
Right.
copies of that so that we can read it and we're aware that we can research it ourselves.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any more business from the table? Public comment?
Back on old business, I have two topics. One, engine 21. We now have two bids, I believe, for the lights, repair either the generator or put in the LED lights. What is the status now that you got two quotes, and what is the progress of moving forward to get that repaired? You also have an air conditioning issue on engine 21. The front air conditioner doesn't work. And we've also have brought to my attention today, as a safety concern, is the parking brake. The parking brake, the air parking brake.
This is 21 still.
Engine 21 stuff. Sometimes it has a tendency not to set the brakes. So luckily, when you put the wheel chocks under it, it will keep it from going either direction, but it has happened a couple of times where we've had some issues with that brake on 21. My son drove it this morning.
If we have an issue with that, it's going to be taken.
It's out of service now,
Right.
so.
Yep.
Luke?
Also, the plan. I asked a couple months ago regarding your plan for this whole operational thing of your paid firemen, how you started it, what you project in the future and everything in cost and all that. I asked for that 2 months ago. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for the last meeting, but I still haven't received anything as of what your main goal is, the plan, the budget, and everything else. We were presented to it last year to the taxpayers. You had a plan and the presentation and all that. You put it all into service January, but there's nothing written down that any of the public can see of how you determine the cost in the future, what you see fit. Because, again, that's going back to the taxpayers and keep asking them for more and more money in the comment of, that's the price of doing business. Well, unfortunately, the volunteer service, yes, it is tough because of all the requirements and everything else that the state has on us. But like today, Cato had a fire and they pulled everybody from all over the 3 counties to help. And that's what your volunteers do. So to have your paid, that's one thing. And to eventually push us all to a paid department, you're gonna be looking at $5 to $8 million a year. And right now you're on a budget of 2. So that's gonna be a heck of an increase to our taxpayers to go to a paid department that we only really run maybe 500 calls a year. Well, because now that we have all these Band-Aid calls and EMS calls added to justify your EMS. But if we were to go back to our basic operations of what we've done for, you go on the cardiac arrest, you go on the car accidents and fires, you're roughly about 500 calls a year. And to put in a paid department to run 500 calls a year at about an $8 million budget, if not more, if you want 24/7, it's just going to keep raising and raising our tax dollars. And that's why your volunteer has a lot of mutual aid. We're all hurting, not just us. Everybody in the county's hurting. So if everybody in the county is going to go paid department, I don't see how anybody's going to survive anymore. But I would like to see that plan of what you have written and how you're justifying everything of what you're doing and going through the budget. And now you're putting in there, now you have to add in the retirement. Well, that retirement, these guys they ended their career at 20 years, because that's how the fire and police, 20-year retirement. They're padding their retirement right now because the New York State says, if you are retired, you can collect as much as you want. So that, as you pay into the retirement every year, that money's just going to keep going up and up and up because you're going to hire more members. So, but that's just what I would like to see is a copy of that plan. Again, that was asked 3 months ago, roughly.
Yep.
So.
And I spent 15 minutes and did an outline of what a basic plan should look like. And very simple. And all it has to have is all the data put into it.
And that's all I have.
Anything more?
Yes, I have something. As a taxpayer, I have the right to know where my money is being spent, especially after the Board of Fire Commissioners received about $640,000 extra this year. Monies they taxed their constituents for with no written plan that outlined where the additional monies were to be spent for this experiment of employing a paid chief and paid EMT firefighters. Let's look at how you're spending the money so far. The EMT firefighters are paid $23 per hour to work from 8 to 6 weekdays, 10 hours a day. They work for the district since June 26, and the expected salary cost is a bit under $60,000 for the rest of 2023. You've ordered firefighting gear for each new employee at $5,600 per employee for an overall cost of $56,000 if you order 10 sets. The assumption is you will also provide some sort of shirts or other district identifying gear for each employee, say at an additional cost of about $3,000. That's probably high. Why? Because these folks should have gear on at all times that identify them as employees of the district, not shirts that say something else, which is what I saw on guys that I've met. So of the $640,000 you requested from the taxpayers with no detailed plan to spend this money, you needed only about $120,000. Oh wait, you needed money to handle the payroll and scheduling through paychecks at about $600 per pay period times 26 pay periods, or an additional $16,000 per year to make that $136,000 of $640. Add your new $21,000, that's about $151,000 of the $640. And no, that doesn't include the cost of the paid chief, because his salary and Luke's salary are offset with a significant amount of money, with a significant pot of money to spare by the elimination of the 2 caretaker jobs, which amounted to over $100,000 a year. So besides a detailed plan that outlines your next steps for your experiment, as well as consider what will happen if the district returns to all volunteer staff, on a monthly basis at this meeting as a taxpayer, I should be provided with statistics showing at least the following information, which helps to explain the reason for the paid staff. How many total calls were received in the time period between commissioner meetings? How many calls were handled by the paid staff? How many calls were handled exclusively by the volunteer staff? What is the average number of volunteers that handled the calls during the off hours? On daytime calls attended by the volunteers with the paid staff, on average, how many volunteers are also attending those calls? How many calls did the chief handle on their overnights? How many calls were actually considered scratched? And for those calls, what time and what were those calls? And how many calls are being assigned to Belgium that the ambulance is calling the first responders off because they're not needed. In other words, the calls that Belgium was not going on previously, but the new selections that Belgium is going to. You may think this request is unreasonable and too much work. However, the data is in the tracking system and just needs to be presented in a different manner. And this request is very reasonable, as I am a taxpayer who provides your funding, a portion thereof. Not only is it your responsibility to spend the money wisely, but accurately documenting how you spend the taxpayers' money is required by law, especially since you added an additional $640,000 to your coffers without any plan, any written plan that outlined or detailed where the anticipated expenses were for this experiment. To date, the minutes don't show this information at all. We don't have historical evidence in the minutes of any talks, any of these discussions. Instead, I get, Barbara asked for a plan. I've given you details of what I expect. The minutes should reflect that information, because summaries of discussions always should be in minutes, because otherwise you have not got a historical record per the records management requirements of the state of New York of your meetings. You have words that say a discussion happened, and that is inappropriate. So I can tell you, I did sit down 15 minutes, Charlie knew nothing about it, and I wrote an outline for a plan of what should be in a plan at this point in time. It includes where we are today, including the 2023 experiment, and possible scenarios for the future. Return to the pre-2023 environment, remaining 2023 paid staffing levels, or expand paid staffing in 2024, and beyond. This should have been documented and provided as part of your budget request for $640,000, of which you're only spending at this point about $160,000. What are you doing with the rest of the $500,000 or $480,000? Well, we're going to pay for the new rescue pumper? That was supposed to be budgeted separately. That is not what that $640,000 was supposed to be, was designated for. You said you had to have it to have paid staff. We need more details. We need statistics to show us how the experiment is working on a monthly basis, and that needs to be documented in the minutes on an ongoing basis at every meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any more good comments? I haven't heard any requests for an executive session.
Yes, we're going to go into executive session.
Over the years, we've had some accidents at Station 2, people falling, and I brought it up many times, and then they go and said it was too much money, but then they go and paint the floor at headquarters. So we need to do something with the floor at Station 2, not worry about the floor at headquarters that shouldn't have been done, and paint the floor at Station 2 so we don't fall and kill ourselves.
When it's wet,
It's
same thing happens out here.
Bill Merriam and Tom
I felt
Reddinger and all them knew about it, and they just blew it off, and then they painted the headquarters with this non-slip floor. So,
Same thing has to happen at Station 1. I fell years ago during a drill.
Talking about the truck bay floors.
truck bay floors are getting, they're slipperier than hell.
When wet.
Huh?
When wet.
And if you come in there with a fire truck, they do slide across the floor. One of these days, probably one of them's gonna go through the door.
Building maintenance, can you look at that?
How long has this been happening?
Oh, it's been going on for years. But when I almost fell the other day, I figured, you know what, let's get it on record.
Oh, it won't be as.
So when somebody does get really hurt, it's on record. And I mean, I've been telling the other commissioners about it, they blew it off. And then they made a joke on it and painted the floor at headquarters for nothing. There's nobody in there hardly. Here you got firemen coming in all the time and following. I'm not blaming you. But I want it on record. If somebody gets seriously hurt, you're looking for a lawsuit.
We'll look into it, Mike, thank you. We'll look into it, thank you.
Oh, well, it was too expensive at the time. And then they,
Okay. Oh, you wanted an executive session, you making that motion?
Yep, I'm going to make that motion. Move to enter into executive session to discuss the resume and/or employment of an individual which may lead to his or her dismissal, suspension, or removal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mike seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
So we're moving to executive session